Is the actual riverbank itself, right now we see trees are falling into the river and it just looks unkempt is a kind way of putting it. If we did this wonderful thing I see, does the city use, do they have access to the flow of the water and how the banks are kept up? And right now it's nobody's, it's a no man's land.
It seems to be a no man's land, yeah.
Yes, and I don't know, is it something to do with the ministry of the province, or who's in charge? Who's in charge? And if this is all done, will Owen Sound be taking that responsibility on?
I suspect that, it's too bad Pam's not here to answer those questions about jurisdiction, but there are multiple layers of jurisdiction here with the Department of Fisheries and Oceans and the Conservation Authority, Ministry of Natural Resources, and the banks are one, and the water line where it goes up and down seasonally is another area, and the stream for the riverbed itself is another jurisdiction, and the city, of course, has all of the areas. In terms of the public space, it's my understanding of ownership. A couple of things that I just want to respond to. What's I think also kind of behind your question. One is that the intention here is that the riverbanks be naturalized, that they be vegetated, as is clearly shown, I think, in the graphics, except for the landings and an area.
Vegetation roots the soil.
The vegetation roots the soil, exactly, and it's bioengineering or biostabilization uses self-repairing vegetation to hold the banks. The intention that I see is that most of it be not so much trees as lower vegetation that doesn't over time grow up and get top heavy and fall down over into the bank, into the river. But the thing to keep in mind about those trees that have fallen into the river is that they're providing great habitat for fish. The shade and the logs and what seems to be unsightly is actually a natural process in the river system, and there are benefits to it from a wildlife and a habitat perspective. I know that many of us have a sense of what is attractive and what we expect in terms of maintenance and so on, but I think it isn't always aligned really well with actually what might be the best for a natural system. And so sometimes we need to shift, or at least begin to shift, a little bit of our expectations related to what we think a level of maintenance needs to be. Clearly garbage needs to be picked up. I know if you walk south of 8th Street along the riverbanks, there's blocks and concrete and rebar and bricks and things that... Yeah, so we need more trash receptacles. Yeah. What is it about our addiction to coffee and those cups? We should recyclable cups. But certainly the garbage, that needs to be addressed. And if you stand on the 10th Street Bridge and look over the edge into the harbor side, that's not a pretty picture either, down into the water when the water has gone down. There are things that need to be upgraded and maintained. And certainly I would suggest that the city, just in going through this process, is taking a step towards fulfilling its responsibilities in that regard. And I think that there are others, the other jurisdictions as well, are very much on board with these kind of changes. There seems to be, in my what I'm hearing is that there's a real positive attitude and a spirit of cooperation between those different jurisdictions towards something like this project, and this project in particular. I know it's early stages, but I think there's a real recognition that it's getting pretty close to time to do something here. Yes?
I won't go to the mic, I think I can speak loud enough, but do you know if the city has a budget line for next year to get this project started? Because I know this is a wonderful project, and anybody I've talked to, my friends and that, they think it's a great idea. However, we know that lots of great ideas are going to die on the shelf. And if there's money in the budget for next year, then that means that the city is serious about this.
Yeah,
If you don't have money in your budget, how do we go about getting money in the budget?
Yeah. Well, Pam and Ruth are no longer here. I understand that there is currently very little, but I couldn't say that, little to, or nothing. But I know that as citizens, your best way of getting things done is to, and making change, is to talk to the people who make those decisions. Make your views known. I think there is, you know, any municipality has a lot of budget items that are kind of fixed, right? But there are others that are discretionary. I don't know. You need to ask that question of Pam and Ruth and the other people at the city. I should have just said I don't know.
You just did.
I did, but I could have said it shorter. Yes.
In your plan, you see the bicycle path as being absolutely continuous, such that you don't have to get off your bike, cross a road, get back on again. That would be hugely advantageous.
It would be hugely advantageous. I think long-term that it should be like that, but this plan does not show it continuous over the 10th and 8th Street bridge. Here, you would need to stop and get off.
Is there any reason why we couldn't, your plan?
I went and looked at under that bridge. You'd have to rebuild this bridge, I think, to make it work, because the actual arch of that bridge is centered about here. And so to go under here, right now here's the abutment. It comes way up,
Okay.
and it's sort of angled to the actual river course.
Gotcha.
Because it would be so great to be able to go under there. Now, down at the 8th Street Bridge, what I'm thinking here is that there's a way that I think that the cyclopath can come up from the river level down by close to where the steps are. This is the parking lot. The parking lot's right here, and there's a set of steps that go down. And there's a way that I think this bike path can come up sort of behind the parking lot quite nicely. And I think that it really should come up here, because there's going to be so much happening here. You want the bike path to be at this level, not to go under this bridge. And this bridge is actually quite beautiful the way it is. I don't think we want to mess with that bridge aesthetically underneath it to get a bike path. And there's all kinds of reasons to be here. We've got a nice wide path. And here you're coming under. And yes, ultimately, I think it would be great to get under 10th Street. But for this plan, right now, I think that's not achievable to say we need to reconstruct the 10th Street Bridge. So I've got it coming up here, and yes, you need to stop.
But even again, on the 8th Street Bridge, you could come up, cross the pedestrian part of the bridge, weave down by Jervis Bay Park, and go under the bridge. Don't go under the bridge, so you don't have to cross the road.
Or if you were here.
No, on the other side. Go across, over the bridge, no, over the bridge. No, don't even cross the road.
Same side of the road.
Same side of the road.
Same side of the road along there.
Now, yes,
Yeah, this far under the bridge.
There you go.
Tough hill there.
Well, it's spiral.
Bigger is my home.
It goes through the park.
Yeah.
Great, be fun.
Do that.
I love that access that you had before. I saw it online and I loved it. I wondered where it went. Coming from the city hall, you had a note. It was fabulous.
Right here.
Yeah. Where'd it go?
That's it, right there.
It's there.
Oh, it looked like a termination.
Could be a termination.
Yeah.
I also don't think that it should project out, that we should actually build out over the bank. So the actual expression of that here is actually kind of right here. It's not so much a projection, but it can still be achieve the same thing.
Yep.
It's sketchy. Yes.
Kim, in the same way that you're looking for foot power, human power, traffic on the land disappointed, and you did mention the word motorized boats. I really don't think we need motorized boats in this section at all, and if that needs to be legislated, that would be fine, but right now there are none.
Well, they could come up there, but they don't.
We don't need them. Why would you even think that would be a good idea?
Well, I think that if you're a fisherman in the Salmon Spectacular.
Then you can walk like everybody else. If we've got proper docking facilities on the north side of 10th Street, which is where they should be, and then they would be encouraged to walk downtown like everybody else. I really would be disappointed if a motorized boat in that is going to create all sorts of problems for your little kayaks and canoes and paddle boats.
Well, they do anyway, no matter where you are.
We don't need them is the point. We don't have them now, and we don't need them. In those two, we don't need them south of 10th Street is what I'm saying.
I think that might be all. Well, I mean, if we just signage would maybe be all that would be needed, but that's it.
Well, we don't have them now, and I was nervous when you used the word motorized boats. We don't need to use that word.
Well, at the last meeting, it was pointed out that sea dues, whatever those things are called, have been seen at Mill Dam.
I haven't seen them myself.
No, I haven't either.
I have, I've been kayaking there and some jet skis.
Well, that's inappropriate as well,
Jet skis,
so,
yeah.
you know, we don't want to encourage that. I think it would change the nature of your work very quickly if there were motorized boats in those 3 blocks of river. I think it's amazing how quickly something can be transformed from one thing to another.
Well, maybe it's I just see it as more people.
Yeah, I think people is fine. A bicycle is fine. Human-powered. I think human-powered as a general principle is fine. I don't think a motorized boat is adding anything to the natural energy of this space. And north of 10th Street is fine. We don't have them now, so why would we?
Where would you tie? I guess there's one little spot where you can tie up north of 10th Street. Maybe there needs to be more tie-ups.
Well, there's boat launches there, you know, at where the city boat launches are. That's, and all along the inner harbor,
Yeah.
you know, there are what they
Couple
call
of
ballers.
spots. Yeah, I think if you were in a small boat, you'd be hard pressed to get up. But there are ladders too, I suppose, aren't there?
Yeah, well, yeah, there are facilities there, which need to be looked at. I would really be disappointed if that became part of this plan.
Yeah,
I
okay, well,
think-
that's really good to know.
I think with the depth of the river and the problems of the depth, that the motorized vehicles that would go through there would be sea dues. And I
Yeah, or
think that-
something very, very small that's going very slowly. And,
Yeah, so, and I think there are good reasons not to have any boating there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Not that I'm any power boat.
Yes.
I do both, all 3. I would not take my boat up. I have a boat that has an outboard,
Yeah.
and I have a little outboard kicker. I have an inboard. With the old CN-CP rail bridge, you wouldn't even think about taking your power boat up past that.
Yeah. So that's
You're asking,
that.
and to have anybody probably go in and remove that stuff, because I can remember they had a gentleman, a scuba diver, down in there, cutting off the timbers and everything
Yeah.
else when the water was up. And it was still, and even with the water dropping the way it is, like right now, it's only 21 feet of water at the elevator.
Yeah.
Up here is a lot less.
Just a few.
So
Yeah, this is
it would
very-
be nice, yes, to leave this to the nice wildlife and that, because I can fish in a canoe, kayak. And how they're getting in about Harrison Park is it's probably some of the owners up there that go in behind.
Well, I think it was just up to the mill dam, not up.
Or you can't get up
Were there
past,
jet
No, they
skis
were
up,
just wandering
up to
into
the
the
mill
harbor.
dam? Yeah.
They were going pretty slow.
Yeah, I mean, it's going.
because there's no water up
Yeah.
much
Yeah,
past
it
behind
may
the
not,
little Y.
It may not, it may be self-regulating.
Yeah, self-organizing.
Yeah,
You
I
can
don't
put it
think that.
I would agree with
owners
that.
take
I just wouldn't want it to see a focus. I mean, you used the word. If we just stop using that word, you know, we don't need to legislate or organize. If you just stop using motorized boats, that would be fine.
You can sleep,
Well,
but
I'm
you're
just
not
gonna
getting past
say,
it.
I'm just gonna say right here that it wasn't my idea.
Well, that's fine.
Now, I'm not saying that I don't think it would be good, but I'm saying that it was suggested by somebody else, just who's
Yeah.
a citizen just like you.
Yeah, no, and all
And
of that
I-
is fine, but
Having been a canoeer and kayaker and a, you know, boat powerboat, not powerboat, but a little hut boat user, for my whole life too, I think there are times when might want to be in.
Yeah, north of 10th Street is fine.
I used to be the person sitting on the front decks and looking for rocks. Anyway. Yeah.
I have a couple of things I'd like to talk about. I know, one is an observation. Okay, yeah, one is an, I'm pretty loud. I'm pretty loud. One is an observation in that, like, what's the difference between a ditch and a